finish like so early, like very early, because again, that's like the easiest thing for me to do. And he's like, well, that's great. And I was like, all right, thanks. And I left. And then I watched the episode, and it has a lot of ninjas in it. Every ninja in that episode was my voice. They copy pasted my reactions onto all the other ninjas. And I was like, what? Come on.
Please welcome to the stage the wonderful, it's Johnny Yong Bosch. Keep it going. There he is. We are here. Thank you, guys. Right in the middle. Feels very exposed. Your mic's just there. Yeah, that's your mic, Johnny. Should be on.
All right. Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting up this morning.
So, LA Comic Con.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time yesterday?
I did, yes.
And you're from LA proper,
I am, yeah.
Yes.
Well, no, sorry. I live here. I've been here for 30 years, so I feel like I am.
I just got here last year.
Okay.
So what can you tell me about LA that I should know going forward?
Avoid the traffic as much as possible.
That's impossible.
I know. Try.
I live in the valley, so I feel like
you're in it all the time then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like living my best valley mom life up there. I'm like, when I say to people, yeah, I live in the valley, they go, oh, like some.
I like the valley. I'm in the valley. Yeah.
I like the valley. Any valley people here? Yes.
Like, yeah.
I've not perfected my valley girl accent.
There's not enough
yet.
like?
No.
Okay.
Oh my God, like, is that
Like, just add likes.
Just add likes?
Yeah.
Got it. Tell me, before we get started, you do so many conventions. We've spoken several times before. What is it that keeps you coming back to these conventions and meeting fans?
You know what? There's, I mean, it might sound hokey to say this, but there's like, it's so cheesy.
No, give us some cheddar. Give us some cheddar. Let's go.
All right, but it's it's so weird. I don't even want to say it.
God.
I energize off of you guys, like I really do. Making like, it's like the small interaction and seeing someone else happy really does make me happy. Like I'm an introvert, and so it's like I can't like go to like big whatever things, but like just a small interaction and just knowing that whatever little thing that I did had some impact, but then I get to see, you know, I don't know, just enjoyment. And then I'm like, it makes me happy to make somebody else happy. That's so cheesy. I really, it's super cheesy. I hate saying it.
No, please don't. Like, I'm also an introvert, believe it or not. And I think that when you're doing this line of work, everybody expects you to be some extrovert, whatever, but it is nice making people happy, making people smile.
It is. And some days are tough, you know. Some days are really tough, and it's always worse when somebody comes up and they're like, "Hey, boy, you look tired," and it's like, and then I have to be like, "Hey."
Has that happened before where somebody's going, "God"?
Oh, it happens all the time.
Looking a bit rough, Johnny.
That's just my face, all right. I got tired face.
Resting tired face.
Resting tired.
Or just resting face. It's just
the face is always like this.
Constant rest. But I find like when, I don't know about you, but because I'm doing this all the time and I'm like this all the time, I love having resting face.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
You got to work out those muscles, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you do then to relax after a con? Like
I do nothing.
Yes.
I don't talk. I just go like.
The gerbils don't work out. They just collapse.
Yeah. I think about all the things that I said wrong or something, you know,
oh God, no.
throughout the day. Like, why did I say that? Like the cheesy thing that I said. Now it's out there.
It's a black hole you don't want to go down.
I know. It's like looking at comments.
Oh, don't do that
on Twitter or X or whatever.
No, the other night I was sitting watching Time Cop. Do you know Time Cop?
I remember. Wait, you talking about Van Damme Time Cop? Oh, yeah.
Any Time Cop fans here? Do you guys remember Time Cop?
One other person.
I think we're aging ourselves.
I know, right?
just aged ourselves.
Just us three.
But I was watching that the other night and I was enjoying it. But again, going down the spiral of, I shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have done that. Do you still do that now, even though you've been working for many years? Do you still get that insecurity coming in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Were you talking about work that I've done?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
How do you get out of that mode of thinking?
Oh, I try to do something else and get my mind on something else.
Yeah.
You know, because the thing with, I mean, for me, it's like Power Rangers. You know, I wasn't... See, thank you. And I'm glad you were young when you watched it. Because if you try to watch it now and you've never seen it, it's like, what the heck? You know, and I wasn't an actor. I mean, I was a martial artist. And so for me, it was like, I didn't know, like, really the process or anything. And it wasn't like we were given any time to figure that out or taught that. It was, we were just thrown in. So for me, like that, like being on that for, you know, however many years, 3 years or whatever it was, you know, over 160 episodes and a couple movies, and that was like school for me. Yeah. So when I go back, like we were watching Netflix, me and my son, and then I saw like there's Power Rangers is on there, and somebody told me that at the con. I was like, let me check it out. I was like, put on one episode, and it was like, me sad because I couldn't find a date for the dance or something. I'm like, I don't think I'm going. I'm like, I had to like change it real quick.
What does your son think? Does he say anything to you, or do you ask him any questions when you're watching your old stuff?
No. I usually just kind of skip over to the martial arts stuff and be like, who's that guy right there? And he's like, I could tell it's you, Dad.
Is it because you're his dad? Is he like, oh, that's uncool, or does he think it's kind of cool?
I don't know. I haven't really asked him. I mean, I don't want to know, actually.
I think a dad asking their son if they're cool might garner an answer.
Yeah,
one.
Exactly. I'm like,
hey,
yeah,
son,
you're definitely not cool.
I'm going to ask a question that I ask people on my podcast. So we're doing it a little different, and then we're going to go to fan questions if you guys have got any. So I've got a podcast called Hot Pod Time Machine. And on the podcast, I ask, what is a decision from your past that changed your future? We've had lots of amazing guests and different sorts of answers. So I wanted to ask you that today. A decision from your past that changed your future. Can you think of one?
I can think of 1,000.
Yeah.
I can think of 1,000, but there's a ton of decisions I've made in my life, good and bad decisions. That's a hard one because that does put, like, it can go to very dark places. Yeah. Because a lot of those start in dark places or become dark places. Even now, as I'm like thinking of like, what am I going to talk about? Like, I'm like flashbacking to a lot of things that, oh man, that was a bad choice, you know? Mm-hmm. I think, I don't know. I really don't know where to go with this, but I guess since I mentioned like Power Rangers, maybe, you know, kind of, I think accepting who I am, and my ability, and realizing that wherever that is, like, and it happens multiple times in life, where you go, okay, this is as good as I am right now. This is my starting place. And so I think that for me is an important thing. For example, like watching myself on Power Rangers, man, that is printed on film. It's out there, you know, and though when people watch it when they're young, it's cool. But then for me, I'm like, I made a whole lot of mistakes as an actor, but it's out there now, and I have to go like, I have to accept that person for who he was, and go like, hey, I accept that kid. You know, that was the starting place, you know, for me then, you know, and so now here I am now. So I have to understand that everything starts somewhere. Absolutely. You know, and so I'll go with that answer because that's not super dark.
Yeah,
that's a safe place.
Now I want to know the dark stuff. I want to get inside the brain and know the dark stuff. But I mean, when we look back, I think the same thing. I think we could all relate to that, right? We'll have to start somewhere, and our decisions can like change things. We learn from things. But are you someone who looks back and says, I should have maybe done that a little bit different?
I do that all the time. Yeah. I feel like that's how you know, and that's how you change. Yeah. You know, and that's how you grow, is if you can look at something and go like, I could have made a better choice on that. If you look back and you go, all right, then you're not changing, you're not growing. So yeah, I think absolutely, for me, at least that's how I look at it, and I go like, all right, could have done something better.
If we go back to that point when you're a kid, you're starting off with Power Rangers, you know nothing.
Right.
You're young. Like, what were some of the biggest, not lessons as an actor, but life lessons you learned as a person from that time that have made you who you are today, sitting in front of us? What were some
From the show specifically?
Yeah, from that time period.
Nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
Definitely, nothing lasts forever. You know, I guess going off of that, I would, you know, because I was on the show, it was a big show, but then after that show, I went from, you know, having a job, something that felt like consistent and reliable was gone, you know, and then I spent a few years struggling and trying to rediscover myself. And in that time, that's when I started a band, and I was like trying to I taught myself how to play music because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was virtually homeless. I had a broken cot, 2 trash bags full of clothes, and a guitar that I was like, well, I guess I should learn how to play this thing. So I was kind of living wherever I could live and with whoever would let me stay with them, working all kinds of weird jobs and you know, just doing whatever I could to survive. And then again, just constantly like, I got to accept who I am right now. And then just being faced with so many things in that time, and I just being humbled multiple times, you know, throughout life. And I think it's important to be humbled. It's better if you can humble yourself than to be humbled. But, you know, it is good to kind of keep yourself, you know, humble as much as possible.
You mentioned how difficult it was. Choosing a creative path is not easy.
It is not.
It's not easy. If anyone's thinking about doing it or does it, please try it. I mean, like, I think everyone should try and be creative.
It's very rewarding.
It is.
It's very rewarding to do something creative that comes sort of from you, at least, even if it's like, for instance, you know, I'm working on whatever anime. Somebody else started it, but I get to be a part of it. Yes. So even that much, you know, and I get to create. But even if you create something from scratch, or like my band, you know, and any of the songs I've written or sung, you know, to be able to go and perform that live and hear people sing back certain lyrics that I wrote, then there's an instant connection, you know, and many times, it happened a lot of times when I would be on stage, you know, we're performing and I'm singing, and then like in that moment, my mind goes like, holy cow, these people know my songs. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I just forgot the next lyric, you know? And I'm like, oh, I just lost myself. But in that, like it strikes me so hard because of that. I'm like, I instantly connect with people. So that's also why, you know, when I get to meet people, it's like, man, I was there in the booth by myself doing this thing, and that connected with you. And so I don't know. It's like finding your people, you know? It's like, you're part of my life. You are part of my life. You know, so. That's so true about creativity. And I wonder, I don't want to get dark either. I wonder what drives us to keep creating. Like, I don't know.
Do we go into childhood trauma now? Like, are we ready?
Childhood trauma? Oh my goodness! I mean,
but I love.
I'll throw it out. I was kidnapped when I was younger, and that's enough to let you think. Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Really? Can you talk about it?
I don't want to talk about it.
Let's not talk about it then. Oh,
I'll just say I was tied to a string and tortured with my friend, and then that was we were lucky to get out of there and be alive. So then, from the experiences you've had being an actor, are those the kind of things that you put into your roles? Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. I feel like a lot of times when I do a character, there's something I find that I can relate to, you know, and it could be simple like how much I care for my family, you know, or whatever. It could be a moment that the character has that I understand that character right now in this moment. And now that becomes the heart of the character for me. And so then that's what I rely on every single time I make a choice in how I say a phrase or a line or whatever, you know?
Has there been a role that you've had though? Because I know that there'll always be something that you pick up that you can relate to. But any role that you've read for and you thought, wow, that is just me through and through. Like, this is very me. It's not just a part of you, it's all of you.
Not 100%. I mean, I've definitely poured myself into everything, but you know, I mean, if I'm fighting demons, you know, it's not, you know, it's not exactly the same. But you can find a way that kind of makes sense to you, because we do fight, I guess, demons in our own life, you know, and so I wouldn't say 100%. There's nothing that has been like, I mean, I've poured 100% of myself into something, but within the limitations of what that project is and what the mythos is and the lore is of that story, you know. There's never been anything where it's like, boy, that is my life, you know.
That would be kind of weird and freaky.
It would be super weird. I don't think I'd be able to do it because I'd feel naked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It'd be too hard to get through it completely. Because there's moments when I'll work on something and then I feel like I am that person in that moment, but then it's hard to like, shake it off, you know?
Interesting, because most of my friends are actors or performers. I've always found the idea of acting strange to me because I'm playing something else. But then the more that I speak to actors, and I've done some classes now, I see that it's actually they're parts of you.
I mean, I guess you can look at it either way. Yeah. I don't know what works a lot for other people, but for me, I do have to find a way where I can go like, okay, I see myself as that person, you know, like one little bit. You know, it could be an innocence, you know, and then I pick that up from like maybe when I was younger, maybe being a naive kid or something, and I'm like, that's who this person is. That's who I was at one point. That's how I'm going to play this character, and then I'm going to ride this wave of the decisions that this character makes, and find wherever that takes me. My heart is still in this place, and so
cathartic.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird when you think about it. And when you talk about it, it's weird. But
when you're breaking it down, like...
and I can't say that's right, the right way of doing it, but that's just the way I do it. You know, I have to believe that I'm that character. Otherwise, I don't feel like they're going to believe it, you know?
No, I mean, I did some classes very stereotypically when I first came to LA, just to try stuff. I just thought, why not? I don't have any grand ambitions to be an actor, but there was a monologue that I did at the end of like a 10, 15-week run. And I was angry. I was throwing things on the ground in floods of tears in front of a small group of people. I didn't think I could be that, I guess, honest. And it felt like the best therapy I've ever had.
It really does. A lot of things like that. Like you unlock things.
Yes.
You can definitely unlock things. And then it's always, this has happened to me a few times where like the scene is done, and then then I realize, I just did a scene. Oh, wait a minute, I'm acting. And then I recall where I'm at, and then I'm like, it's really quiet right now. You know, like everything's like, are people watching me right now? Then I start like, this is weird. Like I remember who I am.
Yeah, it's like you're coming back into your body.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, yeah.
It's a strange feeling. I don't feel that. Well, no, sometimes when I'm playing music, I think I can feel like that when I'm playing guitar and I lose myself in whatever's happening. But I was thinking about when you said you were in a band earlier. Often we say, you know, the difficult second album, or as bands go on and musicians go on, they soften, they lose their edge. Would you say that it's different for acting, that you can maintain your edge as you get older? And how do you maintain that without softening? And
it could go both ways.
Yeah.
And I think it can depend on the person and the place in their career. I think you could become complacent with your choices and comfortable with certain choices and go like, this worked before, you know? And so I can absolutely see that, you know? But then there's always something that can humble you or knock you back into like, okay, you got to take risks sometimes to reach different levels and new levels of that, so.
What's a risk for you now then? Because I know when you're in your 20s or 30s or whatever, like, you've got a different mindset, but now what is challenging for you?
As an actor?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things now that I will take on because I'm scared to take it on.
Right, okay.
And that could be many reasons why I'm scared to take it on. But there's like, I don't know. It's just no, and I don't want to point out any specific shows or anything, but yeah, there's certain risks, you know, in certain things. Even shows that come back. It's like, should I come back to it? You know, should I do this thing again, or should I let it be what it was then? You know, because you know, I don't know. But it's like the risk, you know, and hoping that this can, I don't know, break or discover, I don't know, find myself in a different place or rediscover myself again or find a new me in that, you know?
Yeah, because then why else it's like with any creative endeavor, then why else are you doing it? You know, if not the kind of, the challenge.
You want it to still be fun also.
Yeah, of course you do. You just want it to be like, I hate this job, oh my God.
You don't want it to be a job.
Yeah,
actually.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a job.
Exactly. Right. And do you still feel that then about your work? You get into the booth, you do whatever you're doing, and you're like, yeah, man, I'm having fun.
Yeah, a lot of times it's that way. Now, occasionally, though, I'll get, you know, cast to do some, I don't know, like through my agent, like something, you know, and it might just be like a live action dub, and I'm some miscellaneous character in the background. And or multiple characters. Like I get cast as a character, which is cool and fun, but then it's like, oh, we need you to voice also 10 different characters in the background that are charging and dying or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that, like when you do those things, then sometimes it becomes like a job.
Yes.
Because then you're like, okay, let me.
It's like admin.
Yeah. It's like all right, you know, yeah.
This effort noise, that effort noise.
Right.
Speaking of effort noises, I'm fascinated by effort noises. I love when my friends tell me they've been doing effort noises all day, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what are your kind of toughest effort noise? Like things that really
effort noises for me are the easiest things.
Are
to do.
they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it might stem from my martial arts experience. Just being under the pressure of attacks or throwing attacks and defenses. So I know what those sounds sound like. I know what they feel like coming out of me. And so, like, for me, that is the easiest thing for me to do. And many times they'll just say, if they know who I am and they've cast me, a lot of times they're like, oh, well, just play the fight scene and he'll chase it. And then a lot of times I worked on this other thing, and it was a new project, a new group of people that I worked with. But after a couple episodes, they were like, just play it. He'll chase it. Because a lot of times they'll over-explain, like, okay, so he's going to jump and he's going to do a spin kick, and then he's going to do it. Well, let's watch it first, and then they try to explain it. I'm like, I usually tell them, you could just play it for me. Oh. And then so they can see, because as a martial artist, I can watch the fight. And I'm like, I can read it. And I'm like, okay, and I know that this guy's striking, so he's probably going to be in a defensive move. You know, is he breathing in? Is he breathing out? You know, if you're breathing out, it's easier for you to strike or defend. You know, if you're breathing in, you're not going to strike or defend. So it's like I can watch these things and spot them.
That's good. You've got that inside knowledge because of the martial arts.
It's like cheating.
Yeah,
it feels like cheating. It totally does.
That because, is like a cheat mode.
Yeah, and I worked on this thing called Super Ninjas, and I remember I played this character, and then I went in to do. Actually, I was in there. I was on time. Yeah. I'm sitting in the back room, and there's another actor in there, and they're going overtime, and I can hear them like going through fight stuff, and then like I can hear the director like. He sounded very frustrated and angry, and I was like, "Ooh, I was nervous." You know, I was like, "Boy, this guy maybe just doesn't like what he's getting." Yeah. And so he brings me in. He's like, "All right, have you ever done ADR before?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've done a little bit."
Yeah.
And I had done a lot at this point. And I was like, "I've done a little bit." And he's like, "Okay, well, listen, this is how it works. I just want to explain this. You're going to hear 3 beeps, and then you're going to start making fight noises. We'll watch it first, a couple things, maybe a couple hits, and then we'll go." And I was like, "Sure, okay." And then he plays like, you know, it's like, okay, so that's a punch. And he starts telling me, that's a punch. I'm like, yeah, I saw that. And
he's like, he's punch training.
Right. He's like, so you're going to do that punch there. Meanwhile, I'm the one that did the fight scene. So it's me on screen. And I'm like, well, I remember that, the fight, the choreo. So I was like, just play me the stuff. And he's like, it's a long scene. I'm like, yeah, no, I know. And so he plays me the whole scene. And he's like sighing heavily, like so mad and angry because I guess the last session. And so I was like, and he's like, we're just going to get the first couple reactions. And I was like, just play it through and I'll chase it. And he's like, all right. And so he played through it and I chased it. And he was like, wow, that you got it all. And then he was like, can we do that again? I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it again. And so I did it again. He's like, you did even better that time. I was like, yeah, I felt like I'd color it up a little more. And then he's like, all right. And so we went through each scene that I was in, my character, and then we'd do my fight scenes right throughout. And it's super easy. It finished like so early, like very early, because again, that's like the easiest thing for me to do. And he's like, well, that's great. And I was like, all right, thanks. And I left. And then I watched the episode, and it has a lot of ninjas in it. Every ninja in that episode was my voice. They copy pasted my reactions onto all the other ninjas. And I was like, what? Come on.
Wait, I mean, nobody would know, obviously, watching, but when you hear
Actually,
it...
I think a lot of you guys might know. Some of you guys would probably recognize my fight noises. You can only, like, there's a certain sound, unless you, like, really alter it up, but, like...
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it sound weird to your ear when you're hearing it back? You're like, that's me, this is me, that's me, this is me.
It's not weird now. It definitely was weird the first time. And it's weird when they did it like that, I was like, oh, come on. You know, I've spent many years perfecting that, and you're going to copy paste it for every other person. You know, I'm like, I felt cheated in that a little bit.
I love how he went from punch-splaining to you, and then you just mic dropped him. We're like,
I know. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But I never play it like, I know how to do this. I'm like, all right. You're the director.
Always be humble.
Yeah, you just kind of let it happen.
Let your work speak for yourself.
Yeah, because who knows? You know, maybe I'll mess up and then, like, yeah, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
I never understood people that come into things and go, well, I'm just really good at that. I'm like, well, you're really asking for...
Yeah, totally. And I've seen it go the other way, too.
I kind of...
Like really arrogant people come in and being like, wrong. And like, oh.
I'm going to sit back and go, oh, well... Sucks to be you. I'm sorry. But, you know, that's, again, being humble in the industry, I think, works.
It's important. I think it's important. Yeah.
100%. I'm going to ask one more question before we head to fan questions. And Christina, there's Christina. Everyone say hi, Christina. Christina's our lovely stage manager. She's going to come round with the mic. So if you've got a question, you can put your hand up. So one last question, and I always ask voice actors this question. When you're on your own, in the house, doing tasks, do you ever
make voices? Speak
to yourself or sing in your characters' voices?
It has to be a very strange character. It has to be like some weird voice that I haven't done, or I'm trying something out, then I would do something like that. Usually, I don't. I don't do a whole lot of character-sounding voices, unless it's like a game, because then you have to show up with like a handful of different things. So not usually. And when my kids were younger, you know, and I would read to them, I would do different voices, you know. And my daughter, she had like a teddy bear, you know, at one point. I remember like trying to like make up a voice for the teddy bear. And when she was really young, she was cool with it. And I don't even remember what the voice was, but it's like, you know, like a cute little teddy bear voice or whatever, right? And so I would do this little voice, and it was cool until around like, I don't know, 4. And she was like, no, that's not the voice. And it's like, oh, what's the voice? And then she would do her version of it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I love how she starts to voice direct you.
Oh, no, she corrected me. Yeah.
I love that. Can we have a round of applause for this first part of the panel?
Thank you, guys.
Now, don't be shy. Get your wee hands up. Or very long arms up. We've got this man at the back, and they've got these people here. Okay, go for it, Christina. You choose. I don't want to be in charge. If we could make a line, actually, oh, sorry, that's my fault. Bad instructions. Blame the moderator. Everyone start making a line, and please be polite and aware of your fellow fans. Thank you. Excellent. Now, straight into the mic. What is your name and question? Loud and clear. Thank you.
Hi, yeah, my name is Alex, and I was just wondering, so, you know, obviously you got your start on Power Rangers, like, you know, actor. How did it go from being like an actor to a voice actor? You know, like how were you expecting to be like a big act, you know, like going into acting after Power Rangers, or were you like, oh, voice acting, that's better? Or like, what did you prefer?
We kind of went all over the place there with that one. I like either of them. I just like overall just the acting and the creativity in that. But I didn't even know voiceover was like, I mean, I knew, I guess if I thought about it, but I didn't think about it. So I didn't really think that was like maybe a career that I could get into. I certainly didn't think I had like a voice, you know, like that anybody would want to hear. A real quick story. I remember when I was younger and I was playing football with my friend, throwing the football out front. This kid across the street was like a lot younger than us, so we'd never really talk to him or anything. He was kind of a mean kid, but he came outside and he started throwing rocks at us, and I was like, whoa, what the heck? And, and then he went back inside, and then his sister came outside and started yelling at us, and we were like, what's going on? And he's like, well, you threw rocks at my brother. And I was like, no, we were playing football, and he came and threw rocks at us. And I was trying to explain, and I guess I was in like a hype, no. And she was like, oh yeah, well, you sound like a girl. And then she went inside. And then, so I stopped talking for many months. And I was super insecure about my voice. And that affected me, for a very long time. So voiceover I did not think was something that I could get into. And so I didn't think about that at all. It was just once I got into acting and once I really started to know what acting was, or at least try to become a better actor, that's when I started discovering more of that and how I guess I can be an actor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Loud and clear, because we're finding it hard to hear from stage. So name and question, please.
Hi, my name is Gil. I just learned recently that you voiced Vash the Stampede. Trigun is my second favorite anime of all time.
Thanks.
And I also learned you reprised your role in the subsequent
In Stampede,
film
yeah.
and the kind of prequel that just came up. Is there anything from the original series that you particularly found enjoyable, and what made you want to come back and reprise your role?
There's a lot about the original. That was the first anime I worked on, so that alone was enough, But I love the character, the innocence of the character, and how much he cares for people, It's not like after the Deadpool movie. It's weird for me to say this, but I've been saying this for a long time. I feel like Vash is like the Jesus of anime. But now after Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm like, it's kind of like, sounds like I've been copying them. But but he does. He would sacrifice himself to protect any person, And so I love that about the character. I also, in the original, is just super silly and fun, way over the top, which was really exciting to do. And so going into the new one, I didn't know what it was going to be like. I knew it was going to be a little different. And so I had to go back through the original and kind of see where I was. My breathing was different then to the way I breathe now when I act. And so I was assuming I was just going to put the voice in the exact same place, but it is very different. It's darker, but it's a really neat take, and it's like having. I said this a few times. I feel like I'm being really redundant, but it's like having two good chicken dinners, and they're different. They're very different from each other, but you like them both. That's what I feel like with Trigun, the original '98. Versus the Stampede, they're both really good. They're very different. The heart is the same. There's still chicken in it, or a plant, if you know what Vash is. But it's the heart is still the same. So the character is still the same. I just had to approach it a little more, I guess, theatrical, a little more serious, and I could only pepper in those original Vash kind of moments here and there, so that anybody from the original series or watch the original series could go like, oh, there's kind of the original Vash. So I want you to feel that, but then know that this is a different thing. And we should treat it this way,
Thank you for your question. Thank you very much.
Favorite donut? I'm a glazed donut guy. I know.
We've got quite a few. Thank you. I like that extra one at the end. Thank you. Hello, my dear. What's your name and question? Loud and clear.
My name is Yisia, and wondering, I know you can't say much about their coming Infinity Castle arc, but what are you looking forward to the most in that arc?
Well, I can't say much.
Yeah.
If I say anything, I feel like I'd be spoiling it. Okay, I would say this. I'm looking forward to Giyu being in it more. I've missed Giyu in this series, and so I'm glad that we're finally getting to see him back in there a bit more. And so he gets, it'd be fun.
He's my favorite character.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. Hello, my friend. What's your name and question?
Hi, my name is Chris. First of all, thank you very much for coming. So my question is, you've been in the voice acting industry for a long time. How has it changed from when you first started versus now?
Wow, that's a great question. Dang, I don't. Where do I start? It is different. A lot of the same people from my perspective, I guess, though, that I've been working with for a long time. We used to record on to the DAT or whatever that tape was. That was different, but now everything is digital. And not at all the places, but it is digital. Everything's digital now, and time is a lot faster. So we had a little more time to work on things before. At least it felt that way. Like I had more hours to work on a thing, and now it's like I work on something. It's already coming out. Like it's already out next week, and I'm starting now. And so that's interesting. It's like it's like you can't be sick. You have to be like, there's no time for being sick. I was working on a show during, what was it? I think it was like 2020 or somewhere in there. It was during the COVID stuff. And I had COVID. And I remember, so it's the bad COVID, right? When it was like really bad. And I was not feeling it. I was like, hey, is there any way we could reschedule? And they're like, well, we have to replace you if we have to reschedule. And I was like, oh man, that's weird. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll do it. And I remember laying down in the booth, waiting for the beeps, and then I'd get up, and I was in my own studio, so I would get up, and then I would say the lines, and then I'd look at the next line, try to memorize it, and lay down. And I'd wait for the beeps, so listen to the director, and then talk about the next thing or whatever, and then I'd get up and I'd play. So everything is like faster and like more like you have to be ready. You have to be really prepared to do the work. Now, I feel like, at least, and there's no like, hey, we'll come back to it if something doesn't feel right. Sometimes there is, but most cases feels like you got to get it right the first time. I feel, at least that's the way it feels to me. But I do think a lot of things have changed. I think AI is going to be changing things quite a bit more. We're still kind of waiting to see where that's going to take us.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your question. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hello, my friend. Name and question.
Hello, my name is Jimmy, and I was just wondering, like, as a voice actor, you do a lot of intense scenes, and how do you get so much, like, emotion, like, genuine emotion when you do, like, your fight scenes and all that?
It depends on what's going on. I like I was saying before, I try to find something that I can go like, I know this feeling, I know what this is like, I've been through something similar to what this emotion, at least what I think this emotion would be. And so I try to put that back in there, And I don't do like a thing where I think about like a traumatic thing, but I know the feeling, And sometimes when the scene is it's done well, then you can just find that emotion. It just naturally happens, like the dialogue is just right, or if there's music happening in the scene, and you get to actually hear it, that sometimes sets you in that place. So it depends on the setting and how things are, like how it's written or whatever. But a lot of times I can just you can just find it, Hopefully the writing's not always great. And usually it's like, hey, can we change this a little bit here and there?
Thank you very much for your question. Thank you. Hello, next person. Hello, friend. What's your name and question?
My name is Jaro. Johnny, I just want to say thank you for making my childhood really awesome, from being a Power Ranger and then being a voice actor.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, for sure. My question is, what's a very heartful moment, impactful, from being a Power Ranger and being a voice actor, any of your characters?
Oh gosh, as a Power
Ranger,
Ranger,
yeah.
What's an impactful, like a heartful? Oh gosh, yeah. I don't even know.
That time when you couldn't go to the prom.
Well, the thing is I didn't go to my actual prom, so yeah, I knew that feeling, but I didn't. But I realized how pathetic I was when I was playing that character and doing that, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm super pathetic. I don't know, heartfelt moment in. That's an interesting word. I'm not sure. I'll say this though, I do remember. It was kind of my dream since I was younger because I studied martial arts. I always wanted to do action on film, watching Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and them, and that's what I wanted to do. I grew up in Texas, and it was not something that was that was carved out. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. And I remember even when there was an audition for Power Rangers that my instructor found, I was telling my friends, trying to get them to come with me because I was shy, nervous, and scared. And most of them were like, dude, don't even try. I remember one specifically was like, dude, do you need to think about a real career? You know, I know that you sit there training in your garage, but this is not going to happen for guys like us. And I remember that. And then I remember going to the audition and then callbacks and whatever. And then we were working so much in the first like week, 2 weeks that it didn't really register. But there was a moment when there's dew on the grass and the sun was coming up and they were setting up lights. I was trying to figure out how to rollerblade. And I'm standing there and I'm by myself. And then it hit me. I was like, holy cow, that thing that I always wanted to do, I'm doing it right now. You know, and then all this flood of all these people that were like, get a real career. There's no way that you're going to make it. Like, all those things were flooding back in. I'm like, that's not true. You know, and then that became like a new thing for me. Like, somebody's going to say something. There's going to be a voice. It could even be your own voice, your head voice. That's not always true. You know, and it's like, how passionate are you about this thing or achieving this thing, you know? And so you just kind of have to go for it and try. And I can go longer into that, but I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to thank you for your question.
Love that. Thank you. I got that feeling you're describing when I was driving down the highway. I just moved here last year. And I was like, F them, I made it.
Right?
I'm not living in a box under the freeway. It's okay. Life's okay.
Right.
It's
That
cool.
can happen too, though.
That can. Hello, my friend. What's your name and question?
Hi, my name is Brenda. I am a huge fan of yours. Oh my God, I don't want to cry. I love Ichigo. I love Lelouch, Isaiah, everybody. Like, thank you so much for coming back as Ichigo. I appreciate it like crazy. You make me incredibly happy. Yesterday I got a signature from you and I wanted to like cry like a little bee and stuff like that. So thank you for existing and for everything that you've done for us. We appreciate it like so much. And my question is there any role that you wish you would have taken that you didn't take, and any role that you did take that you wish you didn't take?
All right, well, I don't think about much of the roles that didn't come. You know, you can't think about that. You know, you kind of those, even if it's something I auditioned for, you know, you just got to let those things go. There have been roles that I've taken that I've been like, I kind of wish I didn't. But they don't last that long usually, or that feeling doesn't last that long. You find a place where you're like, you got to own this. Mm-hmm. You know, this is now your thing that you need to make yours, basically. You know, it's like now it's in your space, and you got to take the negative, the good with the bad. And I mean, that might make it obvious what I'm talking about, but there's a few things like that. But yeah, it's in general, you just got to go like, you got to accept where you're at. I guess it goes back to what I was saying before. You accept where you're at, and then that's my starting place. Let me see where I can take this. You know, and there's going to be all these voices in your head, and it could be your own. A lot of times it's other ones, but then those start to become those voices in your head. And sometimes you just go, all right, I hear that, but I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to see if that can either alter those voices, you know, or silence them or whatever. I don't want to act like I got a ton of voices in my head, guys, but you know what I'm talking about. You know, you make choices, and then you go and you live with those choices, and then you continue. And things get hard in life, you know, and you just go, just got to move forward. You got to go another step. Just let me take another step. You know, you might get knocked back a couple, but keep taking an extra step, and you're going to be fine, you know, in everything that you go through.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
We only have time for 2 more questions. So one, and then this person behind, and then everybody. Christina,
I will be back at my table if you want to just come say hi and
Christina,
chat.
if you could cut the line after these 2 people, that'd be great. And yes, Johnny will be at his table. So if you didn't have a chance to speak to him, you're happy to take questions, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You look amazing. You look so great. What's your name and question?
Good morning. My name is the Buddha, otherwise known as Jeff. Morning, Johnny. How you doing?
Good. I'm good.
Good to hear. We'll make it quick. So, as the previous fan, Urahara was also a big fan of Bleach. I'm a huge fan of Bleach. I saw the cool new sub episode last night for 1,000 Year Blood War. Freaking awesome. quick question is, now that you were repeating your role as Ichigo, how did you feel about if you did it already, without breaking NDA, how was your performance for the new season coming up? How'd you feel about it?
Well, we're into it.
Okay.
So we're a couple weeks behind. You know, they usually do the sub first. The sub is out first, and then we're going to follow. So, I mean, I'm sure I hope you're going to enjoy it. I enjoy it. I'm going to say I will enjoy it.
We're all here for the ride. I got you, man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Buddha Jeff. We love you. Thank you. Love it. We got a Buddha selfie. It's a first. Hello there. What's your name and question? Last but not least.
Hi, my name is Dean. My question's about Devil May Cry. You voice Nero in the games, but you're voicing Dante in the Netflix show. So I'm just curious on was there anything in mind that you used when voicing Dante to differentiate him from Nero?
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is interesting. So I did motion capture for Nero in Japan. So I got to really pour myself into that role, physically as well. And I've said this before, but when I was reading the script originally as Nero, I remember going to the action director, Yuji Shimomura, and I was like, it feels like Dante, this entire script. As I'm speaking, I feel like I'm Dante, but younger and naive. And I was kind of panicked because I didn't want to do it the same as Ruben would do, since he was Dante. And we're both in it. And then I remember kind of panicking, and I was throwing a couple ideas at him, and he stopped me. He's like, Johnny, you are Nero. And then he walked away from me. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And so I was just well, I'm just going to make these choices, and within whatever limitations are in that script, And that's what I did. I just leaned on myself and what I would do in these situations within that world. Now, with Dante in the DMC Netflix, I auditioned for an untitled show for a character named David. And then I booked the role and found out that I was Dante in DMC. And it was Adi Shankar, who I know and familiar with, who actually sent me the outline. I got to read the outline for that, and I remember thinking, wow, this is going to be really sweet for them to do. And I found out that he wrote the role for me to play Dante. So obviously I was conflicted in that, and I needed to talk to Ruben, needed to talk to Dan, and let them know. But again, this story is, I don't want to say it's different, but it's taking from all of it, not just the games. It's taking from the anime, it's taking from the manga, so it's borrowing from everything. And the thing with the games is it's kind of disjointed, and whenever people talk about it, you got to be well, the timeline that I follow is this and that, right? And so it's this is going to, we have that. That's not being taken away from anyone. It's not they're going to stop the games completely. And if they ever do a DMC 6, I'm sure we're going to go back to where things were, hopefully. But this is going to give you a timeline that's one that everyone that's new and that is familiar with the series can actually follow. All my choices are from. It is a younger Dante, as you can tell. He doesn't have the guns yet. You can see hints and clues, and so every choice that I make is an honest choice for that character in that moment. Now, I didn't want to alter the voice very much because if you think about it, Nero is in the family, and even my son sounds like me when I was younger, so I think it's fine. I think once people see it in the space that it's in, you will understand. And if you've played the game and you're super familiar with Nero, which a lot of people are, because you spend hours on it, once you're in that timeline, you'll be able to accept it easier. I know whenever you go, because even me, I was like, how does that work? Do I change my voice? But the problem is, if I change my voice and give it a different texture, somebody was like, oh, look at him trying to sound like Dante. No, I'm not. I'm just making honest choices from that character in this place and using my full range of motion. Because if I start limiting myself to a certain frequency range, then I'm limited. And so I want to be able to take it all over the place. And so I left it open. and I've just made honest choices, and I'm hoping that people can feel that honesty through that, within that timeline and within that world. And I think you will once you see it, because Addie and them have done such a great job. The story is amazing. I'm excited. Of course, I'm nervous about it, and I was nervous about everything, but I really think anyone that's familiar with DMC, the first thing is going to be like, wait a second. But once you're in there, you're going to love it. And I don't want to say a lot about it, and I don't want to pump it up too much, but when I read it the first time through, I was just blown away. It's exciting. And yeah, a lot of people are like, what about this character and that? And you're going to do this and that. Trust me, you're going to be happy, because all of those things, yes, there at least be a nod to. And I'm also going to say this, which I'm probably not supposed to say. You're going to possibly hear some other people that you're familiar with at some point. So just stay tuned.
Thank you for your question. A round of applause for the fan questions, please. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. I do want to say this, that I would not be here without you guys. I appreciate you so much. No, I love you. And we can love each other. But I do really appreciate you guys so much. Like, even the smallest thing, even if you just like one show, it makes me really happy. If you didn't get a chance to say something or ask something, you feel free to go wherever I am. I don't know where I'm at. Food trucks. I'm over near the food trucks. So on your way to the food trucks, you can come say hi. But thank you again. I do truly appreciate your being here and taking the time to sit here, even if it was just a rest for a little bit.
Thanks,
and thank
Johnny.
you for starting us off on something different that was really unique. And I appreciate you, and thank you for doing this. This takes a lot.
Yes, thank you.
This is a very scary thing. Thank you, guys.
It's Johnny.
This is Brandon McInnes, the voice of Finral in Black Clover, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Please subscribe, please. If you don't, I'll be sad, okay? Thanks. Bye.